Plants that, and you'll recognize some of these, and some of these you say, oh, okay, I've heard of that one. I'll start off with an easy one. Maybe not so easy. Oh, yes, you know this. This is wild hydrangea, also called oak leaf hydrangea. If you look at the leaf, also called seven bark, because you could peel 7 layers of the peely bark. All right, and as they say, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, don't bother. You will not. And there's also a 9 bark, which is smooth hydrangea. Didn't even go there. Didn't bother with that. I knew better. But the wild hydrangea is one that the older herb diggers loved to dig because they were paid by the pound. And this dries heavy. You use the roots on it. One of the very first plants that Nature's Sunshine encapsulated back in the 70s for arthritis. Gallstones. It's called a lithotriptic, a cholagogue, and a stonebreaker herb because it would break up kidney and gallstones, or what we call gravel. Very effectively, use the roots on it. And traditionally speaking, in the South, since we're here in the South, everything was a tea. Unless you were a doctor, eclectic or allopathic physician who made tinctures, you made teas, and you drank teas. And even today, I tell people, as much as I like making tinctures, there are times when you need to have a tea because you're trying to flush large amounts of fluid through the system. And this is one of those plants that if you're going to use it, other arthritis you can use a tincture, but if you're going to use it for gallstones, make a tea out of the roots. And this is the ancestor to all of your garden hydrangeas. So you can actually dig those up out of your garden in a pinch and use it to break up gallstones, kidney stones. Very, very effective plant. Actually, and it's good for arthritis because it's an anti-inflammatory. Plantain, not the banana. Although there are some similar uses. This is called broadleaf plantain. Y'all can pass around. Yeah, there's also a narrowleaf or English plantain. There's also buckhorn plantain, plantago, rugelii, probably about 30 species in this country. Originally, people thought this was called white man's footsteps by the Indians because the English brought it over as food and as medicine. Actually, there were plantains already here, but they did bring over broadleaf plantain and English plantain as food and as medicine. And in fact, this is about the same as eating spinach, food value-wise. When it gets bigger and it starts to get the ribs, which the name ribwort is part of the name. In fact, if you ever see the word W-O-R-T at the end of a plant name, that means, hey, pay attention to this plant. That's an old English term. That means this is an important plant. Ribwort, spleenwort, toothwort, funky toe wart. Anything that's got wart on the end of it was a way of saying, hey, back in the days when you couldn't read or write, you tell your kids, I need some toothwort. And they knew, they were taught that plant and knew, go get toothwort. This is one that is a real powerful neutralizer of toxins and poisons. Had a lady call me one night, got bitten by a brown recluse spider. What do? So I said, go get you some plantain. She said, okay, now what plantain is this? I said, set that up on your counter, then get you a potato. Boil it, get it hot and soft, cut the end off, put it over the bite. Now there's a fine line between a hot potato and a potato that will scald you, so be careful. I said when it cools down, another piece of potato, put that on until it cools down, then take the plantain, put it in a, if you got a Vitamix, it's great, or a blender, or pot on the stove with a potato masher, just enough boiling water to get it soft, mash it up. You want it to come out like spinach, just all broken up, the cells cracked. Put that on there till it cools off, do that a couple more times, and the third time, bind it on and leave it. Called the next day, she said when she took the potato off, you could see where it had sucked the poison out. Because that's one of the things that potatoes do real well. The hot potato is moist and hot, softens the skin, brings blood to the surface, and draws. Then the plantain does several things. Number one, it neutralizes toxins poisons that it can get to. Breaks down the enzymes that they use to break down the enzymes in your skin. And then plantain also contains a really neat chemical called allantoin, which you've heard of in a plant called comfrey, or any product containing allantoin as a skin soother. Allantoin is another one of those plants that are chemical in plants that causes rapid regeneration of tissue. It's almost like when I say, you've probably done it, and you've probably done it, y'all have never done it, and one of these days you will. Is a guy saying, look at a clock, and if I watch it long enough, I can see that little hour hand move. It's one of those determined things, you just about see it move. you can just about watch the tissue regrow. It's that rapid. She called the next day, said she drew the poison out, and the pink skin was already coming back in. Now, if you look at a brown recluse spider bite, and a wolf spider can cause this in sensitive people too, it's not like a little bite and it, you know, festers and blah. Eventually, if antibiotics, debridement, hyperbaric chambers don't work, it's basically you take like a big ice cream scoop and pull out all that tissue past the point where it's dying. And you end up with this big old hole in your leg, or I've got a friend that had a hole in his mother's leg, and it's really bad. Plantain is one that will knock it in its tracks, just like comfort will. And plantain the bananas, the green bananas and the ripe banana leaves or banana peels, both will do the same thing to the same extent because they contain allantoin as well. And tobacco, by the way, that's why you put on these things. Tobacco is high in allantoin. In fact, only two things are higher in allantoin than these, and that is breast milk, which is why women should breastfeed if they can, because it's good for their baby's guts, among other things. Very healing to inflamed tissue in the intestines, and maggot food. True story. Dr. Ennis, if any of y'all know him up on the mountain, he started studying medicine probably about 1820. I mean, that guy's practiced forever. I think he graduated in 1920. So he had about 20 years of using maggots in medicine before the commercial synthetic antibiotics came in, and they stopped using them because they could patent those, couldn't patent maggot therapy. And he was making rounds one day, I think it was at McGuffey's. Old lady had fallen out of a chair or bed or something, gashed her head open. This is probably about 20-something years ago. Had gone gangrenous. And all the doctors and guessed said, just, you know, she's 90,000 years old, just keep her comfortable, she's going to die anyway. They gave up on her. And he looked at her and he said, I tell you what, roll her out on the veranda and let the flies blow her. They looked at him like he had lost his mind. He said, no, I'm just telling you, go roll her on the veranda and let the flies blow her. They did what he said to do because he was well respected. 2 weeks later, you'd never known she'd had an accident because maggots only eat gangrenous dead flesh, and their feces is high in allantoin, which heals the wound. That's why you always hear about, like Leonardo DiCaprio had his date with the bear in that movie. Maggot saved his life. During the war between states, soldiers from both sides who laid out in the trenches longer survived better than the ones who went and got medical care because they were in contact with antibiotics in the dirt and maggots. So the longer they stayed out in the field waiting for help, the higher their odds of surviving actually became. And so he knew that it worked. And nowadays, what's popular in medicine? Maggot therapy again. It's made along with leeches and several other bugs. And this plant is very high. Tobacco, maple shoots, sycamore shoots, comfrey, all over the plantains. And then when the plantain leaves on this one get real big, by the way, it's food, you can take them, get the big Rugelia, they'll get leaves about that big, boil them about 8 or 9 minutes, and they'll turn real translucent and thin. You can make little sushi wrappers with them. Or when they get too big and too ribby to eat, you dry them, powder them up, and you've got soup stock that's high in vegetable proteins. Medicinally, another use for it is this is the cat's meow for poison ivy. Tops anything out there. Neutralizes the urushiol and helps to heal the skin very, very effectively. And if you're old enough and you'll admit it, you've used this plant before, gone to Walmart and gotten what? Metamucil, psyllium seed. All it is this family in a suspension. That's all it is. Bulk laxatives, good for regulating cholesterol levels also. Very useful plant. Edible and medicinal. Easy to identify. Everybody's yard grows worldwide.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On this, for poison ivy, do you just brush the leaves and put it
Well,
in?
if you're out in the woods or in your yard and you get into poison ivy, if you're really paying attention, it burns and stings just a little bit. You'll notice that. Most people are so busy they never realize it. Crush the leaves, just break them up because you want to open the cells up, get the juice out. Rub it on the, it'll neutralize the urushiol. If you already have it,
Let's go.
take that, throw it in the blender, pulp it up real good, and try the pulp. Very, very
Got two
effective.
grandchildren who took a bath in it and it was blowing just totally wasn't it?
If you catch it early, it'll knock it out just like that. If it's further along, it takes more effort to it. But it's very effective. And a lot of people know about jewel weed for that. Doesn't hold a candle. In fact, if you're real pale skin, jewel weed will cause whelps on you. It'll like chemically burn. And it doesn't do a good job. Here's one everybody's got in their yard. Rose of Sharon. It's in the mallow family, the hibiscus family. There's only one, so you can't share it much. If you want to eat that flower, it's sweet. Very good tasting, makes great pies. You can't